Shalom, shalom, Mr. Brother Mousa.
Shalom, Mr. Brother Shamoa All.
Right, and today we going into our dear brother, our forefather Joseph. Right, specifically Joseph in the book of Genesis. Right, Joseph, who's the son of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. Right, that's the Joseph we going into. We going into from the beginning to the end because these things were written for our learning, like I say in the Bible. They weren't written just so they could make a Veggie Tales episode about it. It wasn't written so they could make a Hollywood movie about it. It was written so that we could be today, and what's today? The 17th, July 17th, July 16th, 17th, whatever it is, 2025, we could be talking about it. Right? So, Ak, if you could get Romans 15 and 4, uh, Lord, what you can read for me a little bit. It's a little different type of video than we usually do, but we're gonna get it down to this bit.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 4.
Right.
It says, For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
Right. So even Paul understood. He was telling the church in Rome, to all those that was in Rome, like, hey, read that again.
It says, For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
Right. So he had to make sure to remind us, like, hey, that wasn't just written just because it was a cool story and that was a cool guy back in the day. Nah, these was a real people who had accounts of how they interacted with 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 the Most High, with their own people, how they interacted, like in this case, with their brothers, with their father, so on and so forth. Right. So we got to really get into these things. Can you get Deuteronomy 32 and 7 up? Because it's important. You know, a lot of times nowadays they like to say, "Oh, that stuff old. We need to talk about X, Y, and Z." They don't want to talk about the Old Testament and all that stuff. But hey, the Lord deals with the things of old. Read that for me.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 7. It says, Remember the days of old.
Read that again.
Remember the days of old.
No, we gotta forget past.
Remember the days of old.
Right?
Consider the years of many generations.
Cause it say, don't just think about from the 70s and the 80s. It say think back to the 1600s. Think back to 800 BC. Think back to the time of David, which some scholars say is around 1000 BC. You got to think back then. That's what. Read that again. We ain't making this up. We reading this out the Bible.
It says, Remember the days of old, consider
Right.
the years of many generations.
So we not only do we have to remember them days, we have to consider them. Meaning you got to just think about them like, huh? Back in the day, so think about this: Sodom and Gomorrah, right? How ironic we going into the Book of Genesis. You would think that they would have learned from what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah to not do what they're doing in America now, but they didn't learn. Rome didn't learn. Greece didn't learn. If you go into what these Valentine's days and all these holidays go into, you will know they did not learn from Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Because that's just how it goes. And as a matter of fact, that brings me right into my next verse. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse number 15. It says, "That which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered." Right? Hey, them things that these other nations, they crooked. So there's no way that you could ever get a straight path out of something crooked, and vice versa. But when it comes to our forefather Joseph, that we about to get into, you'll see how he took the straight path, and that's why we talking about him to this day. And mind you, this is before Moses, so you got to think about how long ago this was, and yet in 2025 in Babylon and Greek, we talking about this man. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into Genesis, right? Because we want to get into, Genesis means the beginning, so we want to get into the beginning of where Joseph even comes from, right? So this is Genesis chapter 30 and verse number 22. And God remembered Rachel. and God hearkened to her and opened her womb. Right. So to catch y'all up to speed, if you're not familiar with this story, Jacob had Leah and Rachel. Right. But in this case, Rachel is the one that God is remembering. She about to have a baby because Leah was the one that was having kids and Rachel couldn't have none. It says, verse 22, um, and God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her and opened her womb. And she conceived and bare a son, and said, God hath taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, and said, the Lord shall add to me another son. Right? So the first, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first child that Rachel was able to have was Joseph. And when you read about Joseph and how mighty he was, it was like I can't think of the precept. I think it was Hannah in First Samuel when she's like, "I've been unto you like 10 sons or something like that." Hey, Joseph, how mighty he was! He was like 10 sons in one, and we're gonna get into that, right? So when we want to get into is Genesis chapter 30, and if you want to get in there, you can. Well, I want to
Okay.
get into Genesis chapter 37. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to bring it now. We do got to remember the days of old, right? I want to bring out another precept on that because, hey, we do have to remember these things. I mean, look at our elders today. The only thing we can learn from them is wickedness. I mean, they may have done some good things, but it's a lot of elders that's not in this truth. And when you was in the world, it was times where elders doing the same thing as these YNs doing. They 50, 60, still drinking, still trying to pop women. It's nothing you can learn from them, right? They don't know who their forefathers are, right? So the Lord commanded us to read and meditate on the works of our forefathers, all the righteousness that they done. I mean, we had elders that was in the truth, you know. Hey, it's elders in here that did wickedly. Look at the book of Susanna. Those elders was wicked, man, and we have to learn from them as well to not to do those things, right? So this Psalms 143, right, verse 5, it says, "Remember the days of old. I meditate on all thy works." So we really have to meditate on Joseph's works, the things that he done, and really get into the spirit and get into his shoes of the situations he's in. Because the situations he was in, it may be similar to the situations you be in. You may get snaked by your brother. We may get into that. You may like Eve try to mess with you that you don't need to mess with. Brothers, a lot of all Israelite men been in that situation. Old women been in that situation. It's vice versa. Right? It says, I remember the days of old, I meditate on all thy works, I muse on the work of thy hands. Because the work of Joseph's hands that he labored in, it prospered. And we're gonna find out, that type of man the Lord is dealing with. And it's written, the Lord was dealing with Joseph. Joseph fulfilled his lot. He knew what the Lord was doing for him at that time and at that moment. And he was in the flesh. So don't think like everything was just so precise and he just was walking through a path of sunshine. It was ugly for him. Just like how it is in us in this present world. It's ugly for us. But Joseph, how ugly it was for him, he continued to have faith in the Lord. And we're gonna read about that. Right? But you gotta act if you found your precept.
I wanted to get this 1 second in the book of Hebrews, right? Because we gonna keep reiterating the point that you have to go into the forefront. You have to go into the history. The Bible is a history book. We say that on the highways and byways all the time. The Bible is not Harry Potter. It's not Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It's not Dr. Seuss. This is literally historical events of how us as a people interacted with the Most High, interacted with each other. So these are important things, right? It's Hebrews chapter 11 and verse, I'm gonna start at verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Now think about this. We never seen Joseph, but through the spirit we can read the stories, and we can understand, all alongside lining it up with history and all those other things, because like I said, these are real stories, and be like, wow, that really happened over there in Egypt. You know, you can really look up evidence that of Noah's Ark and all them type of things. But we didn't see the ark. So we got faith that these things happen. But verse 2 is the point. For by it the elders obtained a good report. And that's the whole point. One thing that we're gonna learn about Joseph is that he had faith. I mean, listen, if I had to go through what Joseph went through, I I don't know if I would be as mighty as him, man. I don't know. You feel what I'm saying?
God.
To I mean, just imagine your own family do what Joseph did, right? All right, you got anything else before we jump into it? I ain't trying to jump the gun too quick.
No, you good, man. Hey.
Huh.
Man.
Okay. Without further ado, man, let's get to it. Let's get to Genesis 37. Right. You know, because Joshua, not Joshua, Joseph was that one black sheep of the family. Let's say that, right? And I coming in through the spirit, right? We was just going into that, right? The people understand that we have to go into the days of old, right? This is Genesis 37 and 1. And Jacob dwelt in a land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. It says Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Right? So he was 17. He a YN, as they say nowadays, right? Now we not saying that as a term of disrespect, but we just got to make it plain for the people who watching at home. In modern day terms, he was 17. He out there with his dad, wives, kids, right? But let's see the difference in verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. So you got to really have a discerned mind. You can't read this like a Catholic pope during mass. You got to understand that these are Israelites that we talking about, right? So imagine he's 17 years old, he almost grown, and he's his dad's favorite child. Just imagine his dad, he the one he throw the ball with his dad the most. You know what I'm saying? When his dad go to the store, he bring him the good happy meals. The rest of the kids, they just got to eat the fries. You know, that was Joseph. So you got to imagine how his other brothers and sisters would feel about that, right? We go through that nowadays. Some of y'all watching right now got a sibling that been jealous of you your whole life, or God forbid, you that sibling that been jealous of your other sibling the whole life, right? Did that happen? Let's not pretend. I remember a video 21 Savage that I just seen recently, where he was saying how he resented his brother because his dad treated him better than him on purpose in front of him, right? So these are not foreign concepts. This is not a new thing. There's no new thing under the sun, right? Let's get that. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 1, right? Because the same thing that was happening to Joseph and in the days of Joseph and whoever you can name in the Bible, that same stuff happens today. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse number 9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be. Meaning that thing that already happened, you can say what they say, history repeats itself. That's biblical. Sodom and Gomorrah is repeating itself. Egypt is repeating itself. Rome is repeating itself. Why they keep using the same eagle? You understand? Let's keep reading. It says, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there's no new thing under the sun. It said there's ain't nothing new that's going on. right? So with that in mind, let's read this through the spirit. Let's get back to Genesis 37. Genesis 37 and verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. Now tell me that's not us. Tell me that's not the Israelite, right? What happened when what they call it, the middle child syndrome or whatever? You know what I'm saying? You the middle child, so the newborn baby get all the attention, and then the older one get the attention because they the older one. And you just caught in the middle, and now you just that one. You the baddest in school. You the one go to jail the most. You the one with the worst relationships, and you the one always in trouble because you was the middle child, right? That's how they treated Joseph. They treated him like a middle child, and through the spirit, right? If you go back to Genesis chapter, what is it? Genesis chapter 30. I believe that Joseph is the fifth son. I believe Joseph is number 7. So that put him right around literally in the middle, making him almost literally a middle child. Think about that. I'm gonna read this verse again. It says Genesis 37 and verse number 4. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. Right? Now, what can we learn from this? What can we learn from this? What did Joseph do for his brethren to hate him? You know, is it his fault that his dad loved him more? Did he make a side bet with his dad before he was born? Hey, dad, I got 10,000 on me. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and put me in the world so I can do my thing. Is that what happened? Nah. And through the spirit, that's how they feel about us as a nation. They treat us just like Joseph's brethren treated him. Right? They mad at us because the Most High picked us. They mad at us because the Most High dealing with us. They mad at us because Yahweh Shah, who the world calls Christ, looks like us. That's what they mad about. They mad that Joseph would have looked like one of us. They can't stand it. So just like they treated Joseph, you got to understand they're going to treat us the same. Even our own people, like Joseph. This is not the heathen. This is not the white man. Listen, Esau don't have nothing to do with this. Right? There's not one Edomite mentioned right here as far as his brother. It's talking about his literal blood brothers, other Israelites, treating him like that. So you got to understand that if that's happening to you, hey, it's nothing new under the sun. It happened to Joseph too. Right? But if you want to get in there, go ahead.
Gone. Yeah, that's right, man. This
You muted yourself out.
oh yeah, cons, right, Salaki. But that's right, man. That's an evil eye towards your brother. It's going on today, you know. And Joseph knew these things, and he still loved his brother. You got Jake, man. He see his brother hate him or jealous of him. He start having that same spirit too. You know, now he start bucking up. But Joseph still moved differently, man. He still loved his brothers. But that's an evil eye, man. Let's get to it. Right? Let's get to it. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. This is the curses, man. You got brothers you grew up with envy you, jealous of you, hate you. All right, this Deuteronomy 28, verse 54. It says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother. That's a curse, man. Joseph was going through that as we going through that today, you know. And it's crazy because the Lord tell us that the love of many shall wax cold. So as we gonna read on this account, everybody all know what happened to Joseph. That's gonna happen when all hell break loose. We're going to be given up to Esau by our own people. Let's go to Micah. Right? This is Micah chapter 7. Through the Spirit. Micah chapter 7. All right. That with me. Micah chapter 7. All right. Micah chapter 7, verse 6. It says, "For the son dishonoreth the father riseth up against her mother, the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are the men of his own house." His own house, man. The Lord said it, man. The love of many shall wax cold. And you see the love is waxing cold, man. We under the curses. Ultimately, they weren't under the curse, but that spirit was still there. They envied their brother because they seen their father had more love, you know, for Joseph than anybody else. But you got to understand, Israel, our forefather, he was at an old age, man, and he had a son. That's the same spirit when your grandparents, for some reason, they love you a lot. And then your mama like, you ain't, why you letting them get away with, why you letting them, hey, that's just the spirit, man. Can't do nothing about it. It is what it is, you know. It is what it is. They still say it to this day. My mom still say it to this day. You know, yeah. When I was that age, y'all ain't. Hey, look, man. It is what it is. But that's an evil eye. Your enemies is gonna be out of your own house. So when all hell break loose, don't be shocked. This happened to Joseph, right? But you gotta.
And hey, the brother in the spirit in the comments, right? So we're gonna go into that. It's Micah chapter 2 and verse 8. Even of late, my people is risen up as an enemy. Man, even in the time of Micah, he talking about it. Man, even the Israelites risen up as an enemy, man. Hey, didn't Paul say the same thing in his own way, right? Let's get that in Galatians. Let's get the classic. It's Galatians chapter 4, right? All throughout the Bible, you can hear things like this. Galatians chapter 4 and verse 16. Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? Right? So they was looking at Paul like his enemy, like their enemy, because he told them the truth. God forbid a brother tell me, hey, driving drunk, swerving lane to lane with your son in the car with no car seat in the front seat of the car is not a good idea. And I tell him, hey, I'm living my life. I'm doing me. I don't want to hear it. I'm out here. You a doggone fool, right? But that's how our people treat us. We tell them, hey, if you want to fix the black community, how about you stop stealing, stop killing X, Y, and Z? And they tell us we preaching hate. Wait a minute. I'm telling black people to stop killing each other and I'm preaching hate. But that's what they do. They'll treat you like an enemy. You have people trying to attack us, people putting threats online, saying they'll do this and that to us when they see us, threatening people's children. And this is our own people, not even the heathen. You got Jake. Hey, I spin back through here. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. I ain't even gonna get into depth into what that means. Right? So this is how it's always been. And unfortunately, I hate to break the news to you, but hey, this is probably how it's always gonna be for certain people. Because we gotta remember, hey, 2/3 just ain't gonna get it, man. 2/3 just is not gonna get it. So I'm gonna get one more precept, and we're gonna get back in Genesis 37. This First John chapter 3 and verse number 11. For this is the message that ye heard from the beginning. Here we go talking about the beginning again. That we should love one another. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one and slew his brother. And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil and his brother's righteous. Now, how about that? How about that, right? Imagine you get 100% on the test. I got a 32, and I'm saying, hey, you got to see me after school. I'm mad at you because you put in the work, you did what was necessary to get what you needed to get. I did nothing that was necessary to get what I wanted to get, and I'm mad at you. But that's how they treated Joseph. Let's keep reading. Verse 13, marvel not, my brethren, if the world hates you. We know that we have passed from death unto life because we love the brethren. He that loveth not his brother abide in death. Here's the point, verse 15. Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him. So when we read this in Genesis 37 and verse number 4, where it says his brothers hated him. Hey, hating your brother, you might as well take his life. That's what the Bible's saying. If I was to hate this brother Shemawal, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I don't like this brother hair longer than mine. You know, Jake, they find anything. You know how it is, man. Oh, this brother dark skin. You know, the females like the dark skin brothers. Now I'm a light skin brother. I don't like Shemawal now. Now, in my mind, I'm hating this man. Hey, that's just as bad as me taking his life. Right? And it's funny, but it's serious. Literally. Imagine your own brothers and sisters you grew up in the house with hating your guts. Right? And we're gonna see how much they really hate him. Right? Let's get back into it. This is Genesis 37 and verse 4. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. How you mad at me because I told you about a dream I had? Imagine that. They mad because of what went on in your mind while you were asleep. They not mad because you won in a race. They not mad because you took their girl. They not mad because you broke their PlayStation. They hated him even the more because he told them a dream that he had. Let that simmer on your mind. Right? So let's keep going. It says, and he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. Right? For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about and made obeisance to my sheaf. Right? And his brethren said to him, shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. It say 3 times in a row that they hated him even more. How much hate? How do you think this hate manifested in real life? I mean, that's the 3rd time. How much deeper can this hate for your own brother get?
Hey, man.
How heavy is that? This is the 3rd time. How many verses in? We 8 verses in. It didn't say they hated him 3 times.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's insane. This is their own blood. So when this happens to us, think about it. How do you think Yahushua felt when Judas did what he did? I couldn't imagine a brother in my camp, God forbid, I'm not even going to speak it into existence. But a brother pull a Judas move. That'll break my heart, man. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Jake likes to be heartbroken over, the Eve and the stripper they fell in love with at the club. Hey, it's a different type of heartbreak when you lose a brother. Whether that's physically, whether that's whatever. Losing a brother hurt. Listen, I done lost some friends, even in the world. And it hurt to this day. I be catching myself kind of getting mad about it. So imagine how more so this is somebody who shared the same daddy as you. Literally got the same pops.
Yeah, that's great.
Right? So let's keep reading. Verse 9. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it his brethren. Now, one thing about Joseph, he didn't stop. Okay. Now you can say, I don't know if this is wise. I don't know if it was just youthful ignorance. I don't know if it was just the spirit was that strong. He ain't care. He was like that. But either way, he kept dreaming and he kept telling his brothers about it. Now, what can we learn from that? Right? What can we learn from even when your own brothers is hating you, you still got this spirit of upbeatness that Joseph got. He dreaming these dreams. He can't wait to tell them, oh man, I just had this dream. You know, not allowing somebody to steal your joy because they got negative feelings towards you. That's what you can learn from that. Because Joseph didn't. But you can get in there.
Yeah, Con, hey, brother, bringing it out. But you know what's crazy is this all stems from his, our forefather Israel, Jacob, loved Joseph more than him. That's all it stemmed from. That's all it took. That one little seed. And when he had that dream, it grew. It grew. They watered that seed. They make sure it got enough sunlight, and it start to grow. And you see on through the scriptures that that tree, that plant, start to get stronger and stronger and stronger. Right? That's madness, man. Right? And also, what you can learn from this, right? You have to be, have discretion. Right? Let's get that. That's Proverbs chapter 19. Then we'll bring out some other precepts too through the spirit. Because yeah, Joseph didn't let nobody, bring down his spirit, and he was telling in the dream. Because all he was doing was really like, look, y'all tripping, you know. Hey, check them having this dream. I don't know what it is. But I'm telling y'all, maybe y'all know what it is. You getting mad at me for having a dream. It's something to this. The Lord is sending me to this. I'm keep having dreams back to back. The Lord is trying to tell us something. But they so wicked in their mind and upset, they not actually taking heed to it. But you know, not having them, not Joseph not having his spirit taken down, knowing that they may be upset with him. But you still gotta have discretion, because when somebody's that upset with you and they still manage to be around you, you have to watch them, right? So this Proverbs chapter 19, verse 11, it says the discretion of a man differ his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression. Right? Let's get Sirach. Look at that Sirach chapter 33, verse 19. Right? Actually, let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 1. Right? Proverbs chapter 1. This Proverbs chapter 1, verse 4, it says to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. Right? That's behavior in watching your discernment is big. What they say in the word is intuition, right? So you got to be careful, man. You can't really say everything to a person that doesn't like you, and they don't like you. So you can't say everything. Like I said, you got to watch people that hate you, got some type of envy towards you, or anything, any type of spirit towards you, and they still manage to be around you. You have to be careful of that. You don't know what people can do. You know, these spirits, so many legions hop on people and they just do whatever. Some may not even be, they may be okay with that. They at peace of hurting you. And some may be jammed up about it because that spirit overtook them. Their flesh end up having them to do things they didn't want to do. Really Satan, right? So I'm gonna read that again. It says to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion, man. Right? So you got to be careful, just telling everybody everything, especially when they hate you. It happened to me in the world. A brother envy me, man. His OG was going through things, you know, doing stuff that she don't need to be doing. But I had a mother that was doing what she was supposed to be doing. I'm eating and this and that. He didn't like that. You know, he wasn't getting that type of love that he wasn't getting that type of love that I was getting from my mother. So that, played a part. and then my life was different from his. So he had some hate in his heart, man. Everything I did for him, it was a finesse to him, because he hated me, man. And he still managed to be around me. You got to be careful with that. Next thing you know, he tried to rob me. It didn't work. All praise to the Most High, because I perceived something was wrong with him, you know. And I always kicked it with him every day. Jake, Joseph, literally what Joseph was doing, I was doing the same exact thing, man. Still kicking it with him, still telling him stuff, still giving him stuff. Like, hey man, could maybe make this money, man. Boom, 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 this and that, so and so. Joseph telling the dream, like, man, just hey, the Lord's telling me something. He telling us something. That's why I'm telling y'all. He probably smiling. He got the coat of many colors on. They really mad because he got the coat on too. They blue. That coat was probably fresh, man.
Man,
Right?
how Jake be feeling? They got that Canada Goose, or they got that Montclair, or they got that. Come on, man. Imagine he was fleed. They was hating, bro.
It was hating.
It was
It was
hating.
a coat made just for him.
101. You know how Jake get.
And it's even. Nice breath, man. It's slim fit. You know what I'm saying? It ain't baggy. He just put it on. It's what I'm saying? It got it's with his shoulders, All praise to the Most High. They was hating that, man. Right? So hey, you gotta learn those type of things, because as people hate you, even though you come with them in sincerity and truth, you gotta be careful of being around them, even though they still stand around you. Right, let's get one more precept. Matthew chapter 10, verse 16. Matthew chapter 10, verse 16. Right, it says, right, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Hey, Joseph's brothers was wolves, man. They were wolves. And the Lord, he sent us forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. That's what the Lord did to Joseph. It's his brothers, though. Anybody that just coming in this truth, don't think just because you in this truth, everything gonna be glitter and gold. The Lord tell you. The Lord is literally telling you what's up, man. It's gonna be your own people. We've been saying this in the world. It's your own people. It's your own people, man. Lord willing, we make it in the kingdom. Yahweh Shah may say that. It's your own people. But all praise to the Most High, we made it. We ain't got to deal with that no more. Spirits and all the hatred and confusion and back talking. We ain't got to deal with that stuff no more. Most High willing, right? Let me read on that. Then you got it out, right? Matthew 10 and 16, it says, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents. Because a serpent is very wise and cunning, but it's on the left-hand side. He don't let you know how he's moving. He don't let you know that he's there. If a snake can speak, right, it will say certain words at the right time in the right moment, right? It will know what not to say, right? It says they're harmless as doves. Joseph was harmless as a dove. I'm not saying he wasn't wise, but I'm telling us we need to be wise of who we around, because if you know that brother hates you, be careful how you move, man. Right? But you gotta
So like I'm having technical difficulties over here. Right? But we're gonna get back into Genesis 37, man. Brothers going into it through the spirit. Really dissecting this thing. This is how you're supposed to go into the Bible. We're not supposed to read it like it's a picture book and you just read it and then you get to Revelation 22, the end, and then it's over. You got to really dive deep into these things. And that's why we're going so in depth to it. It's Genesis 37 and verse number 9.
Hey, I think the brother was saying, I don't know, I think his name, Zion, Zion David. He was asking, he was like, how you depart from him? I don't know if he was asking about me. I think my situation.
Kanye, I don't know. I don't know if the brother want to elaborate because I saw that too. I wasn't sure what he was referring to.
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying. How I apart from him.
Right.
If you referring to my situation, how did I depart from him? I'm gonna actually answer that. It was really of the Most High. I really just cut him off. That was like the last straw. You got to know when it's the last straw. And once he tried to rob me, it was like, yeah, it's cut cord. So the only time when I see him is a special occasion, which is weird because he always in wickedness. So the only time I see him is like sports or something, and that's weird, right? But I just you got to know when it's the last straw, man. That was it. I don't even know where he at. Yeah, come right. My first.
So like, right. So let's get back into it. All right. It's Genesis chapter 37, and we're gonna drop down to verse number 10. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? So now it's getting to the point where even his father that loved him more than all his kids, like, hold on, Joseph, what you talking about? You know? Now we're not saying that's off, but he was asking, like, wait, that's what you saying is, now now Isaac is kind of or Jacob is kind of like, hold on, I don't know about that one, but let's read on. Let's see what happened. And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same. So his brothers hated him. They was probably talking behind his back. You know what I'm saying? I mean, God knows what was going on during the day, what they was doing to antagonize the man. But it says his father observed the same. His father thought about it like, you got to remember, Jacob knew the Most High. These are not Christians. These ain't, you know, what they call them, CME Christians. They wasn't that. These is men who was really in tune with the Most High. I mean, you got to think we reading about them right now in the Bible, right? I don't know too many people who we can read about in the Bible. You know anybody right now you can call, you can FaceTime that I can read about in the Bible? I know I don't. Ain't nobody in this call log. I ain't got Nehemiah nowhere near in there. I ain't got Yahushua number. I definitely don't got the Most High number. So when it comes to the people that's written in the Bible, specifically Joseph in this situation, specifically Joseph in this situation, we got to understand that it's written for a reason. It's written for a reason, right? And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I. And he said to him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren and well with the flocks, and bring me the word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. Right? And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. Hey, we was off. We was wrong. Listen, we talking about the first Judah, the first Judite, the first is. Think about that. We talking about the first Israelites, the very first ones. And this is how you know that when you read Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26, when you read in Haggai chapter 1, when you reading all of these different chapters of the Bible, Songs of Solomon chapter 1, it's resonating with our spirit because this is us all the way through and through. This is us. Let's keep reading. It says, I'm going to read that again, as a matter of fact. Verse 18, and when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. Let me get this precept in Sirach. Right? Now y'all can't beat me up for going to Sirach because I went 45 minutes straight I believe without pulling a direct precept, right? So, hey, I got a new record, right? But either way, hey, all praises. This Sirach chapter 10, Sirach chapter 12, and verse number 15, 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And that's the point. Think about that. It said, if adversity come upon you, your enemy gonna be the first one there, just magically. And we gonna see what's about to happen. Let's keep reading. It says, and though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. That's the same spirit his brothers is moving in. They conspiring against him to slay him. You gotta imagine they think, okay, here you come. All right, you go low, I go high. I grab the left arm, you grab the right leg. Okay, if he break free, I'm gonna grab his neck. You gotta really get into this thing. They talk, but this is their own little brother. Believe it or not, this is their little brother that they plotting on like this, right? Imagine you got a nephew, grandson, son, and you find out that one of his family members is plotting to slay him. It said to slay. Slay don't mean, hey, it ain't talking about Eve with her edges when it say slay. Let me tell you that. You know, it ain't talking about, oh, you put it on today and you took a picture in the mirror for the ground. That's not the type of slay it's talking about. They really wanted to take their own brother's life. Let's get back into it. It's Genesis 37 and verse number 18. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Come. Exactly. This was the original backdooring in the Bible. How about that? Backdooring is nothing new. And your own, like the brother say, your own friends will set you up for failure. Joseph got backdoored by his own brothers in the book of Genesis. Think about that. Jake think he doing something, you know. Hey, you from Chicago, you know how y'all get down there with the whole. I believe y'all the one started the term, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yeah, backdoor, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, how evil is that? You know, but hey, backdooring is nothing new. You know, sliming your brother out. They still rap about that to this day, don't they? We dance to the songs. You know, a Pooh Shiesty, he had a lyric. He said, and you ain't never slime nobody out, so why you screaming slut? They think about that. You ain't never did nobody dirty. So basically, you not as cool as me. You don't get to say what I say. You don't get to scream the phrases I scream. Because you ain't never got back, or you ain't never got over on nobody. You feel what I'm saying? That's the same spirit. Let's read this again. Verse 19. This is Genesis 37 and 19. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And we will say, some evil beast have devoured him, and we shall see what would become of his dreams. They said, let's see how them dreams work when we blow his brains up. Right? Think about this like a diss song. Right? They literally said, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. Right? Think about how creative Jake get on the diss songs about murder and violence, all the ways that they can remove a person's brain from their skull, all the ways that they can creatively take another brother's life, another sister's life. And it's like it's nothing. It's like it's not another human being. Hey, Over a dream, they was willing to literally slay their own brother and lie and say that a beast did it. Imagine your son get killed, and they say, "Hey, that was the police that did it." The whole time it was your other son that killed your son. He sat there at the funeral crying. He went up there and gave a speech. Man, not my brother. You was always the better brother, bro. I always wanted to grow. Whole time he the one that took his own brother life. Think about that. But you gotta.
Yeah, that's madness, man. Your own brothers coming to slay you. I don't know, brother saying Paid in Full when basically Cameron, that was his boy. But you know the thing is though, they knew something was wrong with him. They knew something was wrong with him. He was too trigger happy. He was just then all over the place, man. He was just doing too much. That's something they should have peeped, right? But as you see with that type of spirit, he got over on brothers, shot his homie, right? Killed his homie. That's madness, man. It say, let me read verse 18 again. It say, and when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him.
Hey, am I tripping? Or did he do? Didn't Cameron in the movie? Wasn't he like, "Hey, we gonna get whoever did this to such and such"? Didn't he say that?
Yeah, he said that.
See that? Insane, man.
He said that. Yeah,
Evil as it, man.
the brother just brought it out. A crash dummy crash out. A crash dummy crash out. That's what it is. You know, and it's your own people, man. Right? Let me get First Maccabees. All right. First Maccabees, chapter 2 and verse 53. It says Joseph, in the time of his distress, kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt. And most I will, and we continue with this series, and we can read on because hey, he's gonna be in distress. And I'm pretty sure him noticing about his brothers, he like, man, yo, this my brother's crazy. First of all, he's the younger brother. We say this. We're gonna say that he the younger brother. Judah, Levi, right? You got damn Issachar. They strong as hell, man. Right? They strong, man. Simeon. They strong as hell. They got the older brother, so they probably was bigger than him. Joseph probably had some size or whatever, but they was bigger than him, man. They probably was bigger than him. You got LeBron and not saying this the size they was, LeBron and Isaiah Thomas, man. LeBron just trying to, you know, Isaiah trying to like, hey man, you know what I'm saying? Just come, and LeBron like, man, why you coming up here, man? Hey man, conspiring against him, but that's all. Your own brother trying to slay you, right? Let's get another precept. Let's go to David. Let's go to David, man. Right? Right? Let me see what I want. Let me see what I want. I did see what I wanted, but it was another precept. Right? I'm gonna get to it though through the spirit. I'm gonna bring it out. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 38, and verse 19. It says, "But my enemies are lively, and they are strong, and they that hate me wrongfully are multiplied." They multiplied it against Joseph, man. All right, they literally ganged up on him. Your own brothers, man. Your own brothers. That's the curses. You can't make this up, right? You cannot make this up.
Hey, Lord willing, we gotta do a part 2 to this because It ain't even got good yet. But you can see, let's get this precept one more time. Let's get Romans 15:4. This is what we started. For those who joined late, you know, Lord willing, y'all can catch us on the playback and start this over, because these things are written for us to dissect them and to look at them from different lenses, how we doing right now. That's the whole point of what we doing. And I just want to acknowledge these comments right quick from the people. Right, brother said, I love y'all brothers for helping me with my walk in the truth, the Water Kings. And hey, the water to you too, right? Because we don't labor for ourselves only, but for all those that seek learning, like the scripture said. You know, hey, when this brother Shemawal bring out precepts like he did today, hey, I'll be learning stuff too. I'm like, dang, I never thought about it like that. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm sure it's the same way for him. Right?
Sure.
It says, all praise the Lord God of Israel forever. May all things come as it is written by his majesty's good pleasure. All praise the Lord God of heaven and earth. Hey, you can say that 3 times, man. Hey, how beautiful is it that we here today on this Wednesday discussing the word of the Most High? You know what I'm saying? What the word actually says. We actually going into, like I say, we not just treating it like how the world treated. It's not just a Veggie Tales episode. You know what I'm saying? These are real accounts of our real forefathers. You got to be able to see yourself in these scriptures. Right? This Romans chapter 15. Right? And then if you got anything else, you can bring it. Select your page sticking. All right, this Romans chapter 15 and verse number 4. And it reads, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Right? So you supposed to read about how Joseph kept his head up high, even though his brethren hated him more and more and more and more. And yet and still, his spirit stayed up. Right? You got to think about how when he told his father that second dream, after his father questioned him, like, you know, hey, Joseph, I think you kind of tripping. It said, then his father observed the sand. Man, his father sat back and pondered, like, let me think about this. He didn't just jump to a conclusion. He didn't just take it and run with it. And how Jake do not, it said he observed the sand. And that's something we got to learn how to do. Especially as men, we got to learn how to slow down, bro. Slow down and observe. How many men wouldn't be in prison today if they'd have took a couple seconds to think right quick? You feel what I'm saying? You know, road rage incident. I remember it's a situation here in Milwaukee, right? You got any more precepts? Because I don't want to get into that before you finish bringing out the word. Because I was going to close out after that. So you can bring your precept. You muted.
Oh man, I don't know how. Well, I just got one real quick. Right, it's Sirach 44 verse 1. It says, let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begat us. So right now we praising Yahweh Bashim Yahushua foremost. We're praising Joseph of the mighty works that he done. This is us meditating on the works that he's done, really putting ourselves in his shoes, realizing all the lessons he was learning of what, you know, the Most High put him in. You know, we're actually praising him because we do need to praise the Most High, you know, that he put, you know, he chose Joseph to fulfill his will, and we're able to learn from him. You know, everybody praising the LeBrons and the Kobe's and the AIs and the Brandon Jennings and the Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they praising all these brothers, but they not really doing anything for the Lord. They not actually enduring affliction. They doing it on a carnal level because they got to win championships and carry a team. But hey, Joseph, you know, through the spirit, he was carrying a nation. Yahushua, you know, our King of Kings and Lord of Lords, carrying a nation, man. Died for Israel. You're praising famous men, Noah, right? Verse 2, it said, the Lord had worked great glory by them through his great power from the beginning. Hey, we gonna see the great glory and power, you know, that Joseph have done through the hand of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. All right. But all praise to the Most High.
Hey, I want to get this precept in this chapter. I want to drop down to verse 7. It says, all these were honored in their generations, and were the glory of their times. There be of them, right, that have left the name. There be of them that have left the name behind them, that their praises might be reported. Right. So even in this chapter, it's saying that they honor, their glory was left behind for so that we could do what we doing right now for Joseph, so that we can praise Joseph's name, not in an off way, not like he's the Most High, but we can use his name as something that we should be, an example of how we should move. That's why we reading about it. I'm gonna read that again. It's Sirach chapter 44 and verse number 8. There be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praises might be reported. So think about this. Imagine if we all had a book in the Bible, or we had a story in the Bible, the story of Shema. You know, what would our story look like? God forbid we hear on it in America 100 years from now, but what would they be reading about? You know, what was Mawasar doing in 2025? What was Shema? What was JR Computers or Yazian Judah? What was they doing? You know, how was they moving? How did, when temptation came upon them, when hate from their own family came their way, how did they move? And when you think about that, because that's even a cut to me, it make you think like, hold on, man, I gotta tighten up. Do I really want the way that I've been moving to be written for the whole nation to read about? Imagine if your story was Judah's story, and you gotta explain that. And people like, dang, this story about you, bro. You know how they be. Hey, what happened when something happened on Facebook? Somebody get exposed, X, Y, and Z. People just come out the woodwork. Hey, is that true? Such and such, such and such. Right? So, hey, what type of story do we want written about us? Right? So I'm gonna get this last precept, and then we're gonna close out. This is Proverbs. All right, let's leave on a proverb. It's Proverbs chapter 16 and verse number 8. It says, better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. And I want to leave us with that, because it's not about how much you have, it's about how righteous you can be. We can't get caught up in, because think about why Joseph brothers was hating on him. Why was they hating on him? They wasn't hating on him for nothing righteous, if there's even is a such thing. So when it comes down to it, hey, a little righteousness is better than great revenues. Getting one more little breakdown in, reading one more chapter, doing one more prayer, doing one more fast, watching one more of these Wednesday videos. Hey, that's better than having, all the stuff that America tell you is important. This wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is more valuable than all of that. I know I said that was the last precept, but I gotta address that. This is Proverbs chapter 2 and verse no, it's chapter 4. So like Proverbs chapter 4 and verse number 7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. It says wisdom is the principal thing. Principle is the first. There's nothing that comes before wisdom. It's nothing but comes before you digging into this video, even if you got to watch this video 5-6 times over and over to go back and get the precepts we brought up. Because you want to gain that wisdom of, maybe your own brothers hating on you how they was hating on Joseph, and you need that wisdom. X, Y, and Z, etc. Y'all get the point. But with that, we're going to close out by giving all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, right? Kwame Yasharala and Shalom.
Shalom.